trauma is a major open door. A lot of people that we deal with. And I want to even also say the explosion we see in the, how do I say this without getting our video taken down? In the Alphabet Skittles community, that explosion, I'm telling you guys right now, is linked to pornography, is linked to perversion. Because a lot of guys, if you're confused in the chat of why this is happening to you, all of a sudden you're having same-sex attraction and you don't know why. I'm gonna tell you why. You're watching pornography, a spirit of perversion's coming into you, and when that spirit comes in, guys, remember, spirits are people without bodies. They are personalities. Literally, their names are their personality. When that spirit enters into you, that spirit of perversion from internet pornography, let's just, for an example here, so we don't get banned. You don't get to tell that spirit what thoughts it gives you. You don't get to tell that spirit what attraction. So now you have a bunch of guys coming up saying, I know I'm not gay. I've never had these thoughts, but now I'm having all these thoughts about men and all these desires, and I don't know what to do. Well, I don't know where it came from. It came from pornography. It came from lust. It came from an open door. So when you look at the graph of, and I'm using my words very carefully here, the graph of who now identifies as trans, who now identifies as non-binary, whatever. There's 50,000 different things now, right? Whatever you want to label yourself as. And add that to the graph of internet pornography exploding, OnlyFans culture, Patreon culture, everything we can go and do. That's a whole nother broadcast. Those graphs match. They match. The rise of pornography and lust and, shall I say, anime pornography, whatever that, I forgot what the name of it is, but it's a genre of pornography. And you match that with the alphabet movement. Again, I'm trying to use my words sparingly. Those graphs are the same. They rise at the same time because... and you guys might agree, you guys might not. I think all of you here agree with me. It's a spirit. It's a spirit that's attached and is entering into people, telling them, oh, you're this, oh, you're that. And then they get on the video and they say, these are like famous YouTubers. They say, yeah, I decided now I'm trans, I'm whatever. And they go, I'm gonna be this way because there's something in me telling me you're a boy trapped in a girl's body, or you're a girl trapped in a boy's body. And there's a voice, this is what they say. There's a voice telling me I'm trapped in your body. I mean, come on. How much more clear could they say, I'm a demon living in this person, stuck in this person, and it's clearly demonic. It's clearly perverted. What is it? There's this anime porn that's very popular. Now all these people are watching it, hentai. And now all these people are saying, oh, now I'm trans, now I'm non-binary after watching this. It's so perverted. It's so demonic. And where are the pastors? Where are the leaders? Where are the people standing up against this stuff saying, guys, we got to push back against this culture. We got to push back against these things. Do you guys think there's a link? Am I missing something? Is there a link, do you think, with pornography versus this whole community rising up?
I want to throw a quick stat out because I was literally reading about what you just said today. This stat is going to blow everybody's mind. And I think it confirms that there's something majorly wrong and demonic and dysfunctional. So there's this Gallup study that found that almost 20% of Generation Z now identifies as the alphabet community. Wow. But just to put that into like some kind of framework for you guys, less than 3% among the older generations identified. Wow. So that's like a 16 to 17% increase in one generation in people that identify, and that's not biological, right? Like straight up. I mean, you know what I mean? It doesn't, that is not explainable by a physical, biological. That's sociological, it's psychological, and it's supernatural, it's spiritual. And those are the factors. Like you said, it's the exposure to pornography, it's the popularity of it. I mean, it's trendy. Yes. You know, there's a lot of people now that identify with it, and I've said this too. From a biological standpoint, though, the mechanics of sex are very basic. So just because something is pleasurable does not mean that that's your personality and that's your identity. Because, you know, and I think what's happening right now is people are engaging in these experiences and it's trendy right now. They're watching things. And I mean, to go from 3% among the older generations that identify in the alphabet community to now almost 20% of Gen Z, this right now should be like, sound the alarm. like you said, this is the real pandemic. This is the thing that we need to be concerned about like never before, because there's a need for deliverance. And while we're talking about this, there are pastors and ministers and Christian influencers watching this broadcast saying everything, oh, it's not a
Yep,
demon.
yep, absolutely. Ignorant and blind. And another trend I'm seeing is you have a lot of young ladies that God has called to be Esthers, God has called to be Ruths. And literally in our culture, some of you might be out of touch. Where we're at right now in this culture is young girls are coming out of high school, going to college, and instead of being, oh, I want to be a mom, I want to be this, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a teacher, whatever it is they want to be, now they're going, I could just make an OnlyFans. And I can skip motherhood, getting married, being a nurse, being a school teacher, being whatever, a homemaker, and now I can go directly to OnlyFans and I'll get paid $1 million a year to show my body. And now we have sex trafficking on OnlyFans, because that's literally what it is, on a mass scale. And it's no wonder these young girls are getting sucked into this, because they're saying, well, I could either go do all this hard stuff at college and work, or I could just make an OnlyFans and get millions of dollars, and all these men will pay me to basically. So it's really a new thing happening. It's a new generation rising up. The devil's really taken his gloves off and just went all out, and it's a war like never before. And we need spiritual snipers, warriors that are going to rise up and say, we got to fight against this. We got to talk about this. We have to pray about this, and we have to stop funding this. Guys, let me just say this last thing. I'll turn it over to one of you guys because I talk way too much, period, okay? When you watch, and it's going to get real right here, internet pornography, when you buy an OnlyFans, you are directly supporting sex trafficking. When you're on these websites, you are funding sex traffickers. You are funding people that are trafficking women. These organizations, you could talk to a guy like Joshua Broom, who's friends of all of us, that was in the sex industry, that was in the adult porn industry. 100%, it's all drinking, drugs. These girls are getting drugged. They're getting filmed. They're getting literally all of them are on drugs. And he said that all the people he worked with have all commit suicide. I think he said 50 plus of the people he worked with have all commit suicide. Wow. This is modern day sex trafficking. So just so you young men and young ladies decide tonight you're going to watch that, you are giving into sex trafficking. You are funding sex trafficking by doing this. And a lot of these OnlyFans girls say, I don't really want to do this, but I'm forced to do it because it's the only way to do this or the only way to do that, or my boyfriend said this, and then you have guys now, these modern day pimps, they call themselves OnlyFans managers. We're just exposing the whole industry. And now they have like 30 girls that work for them, and they're literally pimps. And they're trafficking these young 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old girls. And then here you guys are in the chat funding this. It's terrible. When you guys watch that Sound of Freedom, this is all linked together. The money's all linked together, and it's an epidemic. Sorry, one of you guys tee off here because I'm just going.
And pornography is, what we have to also understand is that we know that there's a demonic part, there's a flesh component of it, but there's also a brain issue that happens with it. Pornography is a drug that's worse than cocaine and heroin. Because cocaine is a drug that boosts the dopamine in your brain, makes you feel high, and you want more. And this dopamine is why many addictive things get released. Heroin relaxes a person. And so after people use a lot of these drugs, they begin to feel they need more drugs to feel the same effects. The challenge with pornography, it's actually a mix of both drugs. As cocaine, it releases this high, and the heroin relaxes. Pornography does both things. It gets person excited, like cocaine, and then it releases tension, like heroin, which makes it very addictive. Online pornography doesn't just give people pleasure, it actually changes the brain so that people need harder and bigger and more porn to feel exactly the same pleasure they felt at first time. Unlike alcohol addiction, unlike drug addiction, that doesn't actually deal with who you are, because drugs are not part of who you are. Sexual addiction is the hardest thing to break, because it's actually trying to walk out of something that is part of you, because alcohol is not part of you. Sexuality is part of who you are. It's connected to your DNA, it's connected to your brain. And so to be able to break that, it requires a lot of deliverance, it requires discipline. For a lot of people, it requires also inner healing. It requires dealing with some of those traumas or some of those roots of abandonment and other things, and rewriting the whole new habits and new lifestyle. And I remember dealing with this businessman who, a very successful businessman, and he came from a different city and begging for deliverance because he said, I'm addicted to sex with this particular person. And of course, it took him through the deliverance, but the problem is there wasn't the deliverance that he needed as much as he needed other things as well. And a lot of people, of course, they don't want to do other stuff like discipline and cutting things away,
Right.
but they just want to go for deliverance because so they don't have to take on the responsibility of crucifying the flesh. And I remember when I came in contact with him and the way he described that, I almost felt like I was listening to a heroin addict. He was
Yes.
literally addicted to it. Now, of course, he developed a soul tie with this particular person already. He can't think of anything, and he's making millions of dollars, and he's an addict. He got trapped. He's like, I never did drugs. I don't do alcohol. None of this stuff. But this thing trapped me. And so for people who kind of think that this is not a big deal, I'm just going to watch a little bit of porn there and there, your brain is being rewired. Not only your brain is being rewired, you're actually getting hooked on something that's worse than heroin and cocaine put together. Once you go deeper, and the enemy will bring the leash closer and closer to himself, and his goal is to make you completely not functional addict of this thing. And that's why we got to run from this. We got to do whatever it takes to find freedom and to walk in purity and to walk in righteousness.